hopefully. Then we'll jump into a couple reactions and a couple Oracle employees. We definitely want to know what they got to say about it. Let's go.
Oracle has executed what analysts believe is the largest layoff in the company's history. On March 31st, 2026, around 30,000 employees globally received termination emails at 6 a.m. Eastern Time. In India alone, 12,000 jobs were cut, with another round expected within a month. The layoffs were delivered with a shocking abruptness. Employees across the United States, India, Canada, and Mexico woke up to emails signed simply Oracle leadership. There were no prior warnings from HR, no conversations with managers, and no advance notices.
Now, I'm going to tell you one thing about this Oracle layoff is we look at it as being national, like a national thing that happened because Oracle, of course, is based in the U.S., but Oracle works worldwide. Worldwide, we're talking about India, Canada. So that 30,000, that 30K mark doesn't hit like the U.S. like I thought. Initially, when I saw this, I said 30,000 in the U.S.? That's insane. It's going to be a bunch of houses people need to sell and get rid of. Oh, no. It's going to be a bunch of stuff that's on the market that people need to be looking at. Somebody's going to need to sell or relocate, but no. It was worldwide. And I think the worldwide impact, it doesn't affect the United States as much, but it does begin to affect us when you consider the fact that this was done by email to make AI available, to move AI in. And I heard, and I may be wrong, but I heard that some of the Oracle workers were actually working. You know, I always get that tech tea. Call it the tech tea from the tech people. I know they give me the tea on what's going on. That whole layoff right there, done via email. And these guys, yes, they trained their people who actually taught them. So they were training the people, and the people were training AI, and Oracle said, listen, you've been training AI for years, and this is not brand new. Oracle's been working with AI on the low end, like a more simple, not a version of it that everyone that's, mainstream, but they've been building out these processes probably for the last 2, 3, 4 years. I know my brother went ahead and he saw an early model of AI back in 2013, 2015. This is brand new to us, but it's not been brand new to the industry. The industry's been building and hiring contractors to actually begin to build the foundation for some of these platforms, for some of these AI programs to run intertwined with their current processes. Now, for some of these companies, their processes are old, antiquated systems that they need to have swapped out. Guess what? They were swapping them out. They were trying to find plugins to work in order to bring in AI because they got to build the infrastructure. They got to build it.
And that AI was the leading reason.
It is anticipated that many more layoffs will come because of the technological changes and what AI can do.
It's why Park University is retooling many of its education programs to put learning how to best use artificial intelligence at the core of the curriculum. Chris Keel, managing director of Armada Corporate Intelligence, says workers in certain fields should determine whether they're data collectors or interpreters. If you're more on the collection side, AI may be able to replace you.
Almost every job now is going to have to either figure out how to deploy AI so that it becomes part of their system, or they're going to have to adapt to a sort of a hollowing out of some of those mid-level jobs.
The largest groups of affected Oracle employees include software developers, program and project managers, and system analysts. Consulting, IT, and sales-related positions also impacted.
And what's going on?
So the back-end managers, the back-end developers are the ones who are probably got the blunt of the hit because India got 12,000 layoffs. 12,000 layoffs in India, which is predominantly a development base. So you see a lot of developers coming out of India, okay? This is why I tell people we cannot have our jobs, our 9-to-5s, or even our gigs. Even your 1099 that you work for someone as an agent, as a broker. That was the biggest thing. As an agent or broker, I was always concerned. I said, man, I'm working as an agent or broker. People think Oh, well, you're agent or broker. You can leave and go as you want, 1099. That company can fail. The stocks that I built with that company can fail. They can close the door. And even worse than that, like you see right now, people can put market stuff on the market and never sell. They can pull it off. And agents end up working for free. I just was like, I'm done working for free. I got done with that a while ago. I said, I'm done working with fee for free. But this is the biggest thing. We cannot have, and I think the biggest part of this message is you cannot depend on these systems to take care of you, and your job can't be your only source of income.
With Oracle is similar to what's going on with a lot of countries in that space. I mean, you're seeing a lot of adjusting to AI.
An adjustment 539 Kansas City workers will now be forced to make as they look for new jobs.
ABC News contributor and Google Tech Policy Fellow Mike Muse joins me now for more on this. And Mike, we've been hearing that this was coming. We've seen other tech giants like Amazon and Meta already slashing their workforces to make way for AI investments. Are these reported layoffs by Oracle a surprise?
They're not a surprise. What it's signaling is, one, the importance of artificial intelligence, and where it's also, too, is signaling is the priority within artificial intelligence, and that priority is in the compute. As much as we are all interested in using AI products, these tech companies have to build the innovation in order to create that. In order to build off of the products, create the innovation, you need lots of compute or lots of energy to do that. And the way you power that is through the data centers. Oracle is not as
So these data centers, which I was describing and telling people were going to people's homes. We had, I had videos done, and you can go check out some of my old videos of people going to established neighborhoods and offering as much as $4 million for one home, which is in half an acre, because the data centers are so important. With the data centers don't necessarily just mean AI. They also mean cloud computing. A lot of the things that we're doing in agile workspace, some of the things that we do remotely, it's got to be stored somewhere. It's got to be navigated somewhere. That's where cloud comes in. That's why we have these data centers and this rush for AI. And I keep reminding people, yeah, it's painful right now. It was painful when the internet came out for IBM workers and IBM who focused on making typewriters, and they had to adjust now to keep up with Apple, and then that run that took place between Apple and IBM and all these different things that took place. We're going to that. We're going to another shift in technology, and that being the case, they got to make space for the hardware, which they need to be able to store some of this cloud that we use all the time. Your TikToks, your YouTube, all these different things. Yeah, those are data centers that store that information. They're stored in data centers. But now we got to go a little bit further when it comes to AI and having a place to store a lot of this info or to run it. And the worst part about it, I think, is some of these data centers, they can use a gig of electricity, which is as much as a whole city in some cases, depending on the city. So I expect down the line, we're going to see more shakeups like this. This is just the beginning.
Big as Amazon, Microsoft, Azure, or Google's cloud services. And so as a result, they have to build the infrastructure in order to build their data centers. They just announced recently a partnership with OpenAI that's going to bring them over $300 billion in revenue. But Alex, in order for them to fulfill that contract or that commitment of compute that OpenAI will buy for them, they have to build the infrastructure, which is the data centers. In order to do that, it's capital intensive, and they had to take on over $50 billion in equity and capital in order to help build that infrastructure.
Well, and we talk about, these white-collar jobs. White-collar jobs are the bedrock of the middle class. AI is on track to become the new normal across various job sections. So, what do you think this signals to so many of the...
So you see what he said, white-collar jobs are the bedrock of middle income, the middle income America. That's why when they say that the middle income is going away, I kind of get it. I understand what they mean, like not necessarily going away, period, but dwindling really fast. And in some cases, they do believe that there's going to be a permanent underclass. I'm not making this stuff up. I read the 2040 report that was dropped, and just discussing that and going over it in detail. Bro, when we put too much faith in these people and we give them too much, this is what happens. This is what happened when we tell our children to go to school, get out, go work in tech. Because I know a ton of people that went to work in tech. My brother went to work. Smart thing he did was he was more of a generalist and not a specialist. Because specialists are the ones that are actually getting clipped even more because they don't have any experience outside of the experience, let's say SAP or some of the or some programming or development of programs or writing programs. And AI can do that. These are the jobs that were making the $300,000, $400,000, $500,000. Some of these guys were making a ton of money, had been with Oracle for 10, 12 years, extensive period of time.
White collar workers.
I hope it's signaling to our elected officials that they have to be more on the ready in order to increase the speed of governance to meet the speed of innovation in order to where we're going to see workforce displacement. What we're seeing is that estimates and analysts are predicting with the amount of layoffs that Oracle is expected to have cut, they will free up around $8 to $10 billion in cash in order for them to invest in their infrastructure.
8 to 10 billion from cutting 30,000 employees. You do the math. You do the math and tell me how much money's being spent on overhead. You do the math. See, and I keep stopping this, but I'm gonna tell you, I personally also believe that this comes from how you value and you see employees. Some companies see employees as a pool of resource if they bring a value to the table. Other don't see employees as a pool of resource that bring value to the table. They just don't. If anything, I mean, you're dealing with employees. They want to work from home. They need days off. They've got assignments that don't necessarily get done on time, or sometimes they may get done on time and it's not the level of work that they would want. So now you got to see, is that AI agent that you put in place for that employee going to bring the same value as that employee? I don't believe that's true. I believe that's something that's a case-by-case situation. Some employees take up space. Some bring a intellectual value that can't be duplicated through AI, even though AI has the ability to do things and to think about it and to execute it. There's still the creativity, the human factor. No, there's no human factor. There is. I believe there is. I believe the human factor is undervalued right now in this time. And we won't really see how the impact of releasing 30,000 people worldwide has on everybody's economy, Canada, India, and in the U.S., until further down the line. Till they've put all these AI systems into place, and then they figure out, doggone, we should have kept 25% of them. Because that's typically what happens, right? You do all of this remodeling and shaping things up, making all these workflows that work without people needing to touch them, and you find out, damn, we need people to touch them.
And so when you see Oracle do that, that's a signal that other companies would do the same. And so how are our elected officials preparing this new economy of displaced workers? How are they bringing new jobs and new workforce development into their cities, into their states to help absorb the impact of those individuals who will be laid off?
Well, and you see what he said, how are the elected officials? Like, the elected officials are not responsible for you. They're not responsible for me. They can't do too much to help me. They can't do too much to help you. A lot of times, I personally believe they sell out to some of these companies when they bring them in, giving them tax benefits and cuts, and then some of the data centers. And I'm a lover of technology, and I'm telling you this. I'm telling you it off the top. When you rely on these people to make your way prosperous, you get what human beings get from relying on other human beings to make them successful. And we're going to talk about that point multiple times throughout this. Not just this video, but other reactions and videos that we got for today. Keep going. Let's go.
I'm curious because we talk about all this investment on AI in AI data centers from various companies. I mean, how certain are these companies that they're actually going to get the return on the investment?
The thing with data centers is it's so capital intensive that you don't see your returns immediately. If anything, you see the cost. And this is what Oracle's investors were getting leery of, that they were taking on so much debt, to which is the $50 billion debt that I was talking about. But Oracle had to raise that money and so that they didn't use their own cash. No business owner wants, no matter how large or small, wants to use your own cash. That's why individuals, if they want to buy a family housing unit, they don't typically use their own money. They go out and borrow it from the banks in order to free up the capital for other projects, maybe fixing up the home. That's exactly what Oracle had to do in order to fulfill their commitments. But the long-term gain.
Yo, I love the way he merged real estate inside there. Yeah, we got to use other. He's talking about using OPM, other people's money. Everybody likes other people's money, other people's money. I love the way that analogy was used, bro.
Is on the upside, right? But the upside doesn't come until down the road. So they won't be able to pull down that $300 billion, for example, from OpenAI until they actually build the data centers. And so it is eliminating it is reducing your human capital count in order to free up the cash, signal to your investors that you are fiscally sound and thinking about the future in order to get that long-term return on your investment, which is, for example, the $300 billion from OpenAI, but that is not until after the data centers are built, which are capital intensive.
So how do you rip down 30,000 employees at one time, and the data centers aren't completely up yet? They still have to build out the infrastructure, but they've obviously gone far enough to be able to say, hey, we don't need 30,000 employees up to this point.